Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
Hello and welcome to Share Talk. Today I'm joined by Colin Bird, who's Executive Chairman at Xtract Resources. How are you today, Colin?
I'm very good, thank you, Zach. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I believe that you've been raising money in the market today. Can you tell us the story behind that?
It's for phase two, and as I've made no secret of the fact that we're very, very pleased with the results of phase one. The purpose of phase two is to address that 2 million tonnes of contained copper. We've done as best we can our calculations, and it seems open-ended still in all directions, does this racecourse porphyry, notwithstanding other porphyries may or may not exist in the area. So we feel that magical 2 million tonnes of contained copper, which triggers the Anglo option, is very achievable. We've done our calculations. It looks like, Zach, not less than 16,000 metres, but it could be up to 22,000 metres to get to the tonnes relative to the grade. And, my expectations of grade are between 0.38 and 0.45 with hot spots of over 0.5. And so our calculations, we've done them, and we're pretty sure we can get the tonnage. We're pretty sure we can get the grade. And now we've got to do the work. As you know, we're busy doing our geophysics. I reported in the news release that they're extremely encouraging. So we're looking at a subject here which is open all round. And you cannot dance around these things, Zach. You cannot dance around them. The only way to get the tons of copper is to drill wells. And I tell you what, it's interesting, really, and it was confirmed last night. I was talking to some colleagues in Canada, and you can't get a drill rig to save your life in Canada. Now, go down to Australia, and you must have read, and I'm sure the market and our listeners have read, that it's not dissimilar in Australia. The recent boom has produced some very big discoveries, and, to get a drill rig now is not easy. And so we want a pretty special drill rig, what can go down to 1,500 metres. And we don't want one of them, we want two of them. We want to drill round the clock 7 days a week, So we've got to put our hands up and sign a contract, Jack. And so that's prompted me to raise this money. You cannot make commitments unless you're sure, that you've got money in place to drill the required meters, and we're budgeting on 20,000. We may have to do more geophysics. We've obviously got to hire more geologists. We've got to man this thing round the clock. We've got to digitize the information as fast as it comes in. And for phase one, we outsourced all the soaring this time, and that can be a very expensive business when you're talking about 20,000 meters. So we're going to have our own capability, our own source shed, automated soar. That's got to be manned. And of course, you need a logistics manager to keep something like this going all the time. Because the mistake people often make, and I'm not going to make, is that they have very expensive geologists going shopping to get the food for the night and, running around in cars all day on logistics. So geologists will do the and logistics guys will make sure that the rig is well serviced. So really, Zach, what has this done? It's basically it's the green light. The traffic lights changed from orange to green, and we're off on our way there now. We're doing a lot of background work to give us best chance of getting to this 2 million. I'm really hoping to start in mid-June. I get beat up often for being too ambitious with my targets, but we'll be drilling in July. We have to be drilling in July because everything I see now for copper is very, very, very bullish.
And you expect that to continue?
Oh, Zach, it's only the start. When reputable outfits like Goldman Sachs start talking the numbers they were talking last week, it's just not something you can deny. You may be a specialist in the industry. You may be a casual observer. You might know nothing about the industry. But what we all know on this planet now is the necessity to be green. Electric cars aren't an experiment. They're here to stay. Governments are setting aggressive goals for these electric cars. And I think I've said on a previous interview, a full EV uses 5 times more copper than an internal combustion engine. An hybrid uses 2.6 times. A bus uses 16 times. Joe Biden has just said he's going to rack up the infrastructure that needs a stack of copper. And all I see now is trouble and strife in the copper producing world. A lot of pressure on Chile, for example. New projects are not materializing. And people are sort of expanding for 2030. They're expanding the shortfall. Just let's visit Racecourse and just step off it, and let's visit some of those Chile porphyries. Make a discovery today, Zach, and it's 10 to 12 years before you're actually in production. So if we're forecasting that we need twice as much copper by 2030, it should be in the bag now. And that supply bag is looking pretty empty. The demand bag on the other side of the coin, it's growing like Billy-O. So, we look at Bloomberg, we look at CNBC, we read the Financial Times, we read the tabloids, and we see that the economy is slowing down. It's going to take a long time to get over COVID-19. It'll be stop-start economies. You see, all of those things. But the reality is, by November, America is saying they'll be back up to pre-COVID-19 GDP, as will UK for another example. So there's a train on the tracks called the copper train, and it's pretty nigh impossible to stop, despite any sort of setbacks here, stop go in economies. That copper train is really moving, Zach, and nothing's going to stop it.
Right, just finishing off on the situation at Xtract. You've raised your money. Where's that money going to take you? How far down the line?
Well, Zach, in arriving at the figure, in arriving at the program, it's got a set objective. It wasn't, let's look and see how big this thing is. Let's test to see how big we can make it. It was really 2 million as the target. This is the trend. This is if we project south and if we project east within the race course. And that's what we need to do. That's how we arrived at a minimum of 16,000. That's the amount of drilling that we've got to do in order to get this, as I say, magical 2 million tons of contained copper. But we're also going to look, 6 kilometers away to the south, we've got the foot rot. We're going to check that out as well. We've got to check foot rot out. That's 6 kilometers away because Anglo drilled a hole there and they drilled straight into the best geophysics. Now, the best geophysics, Zach, is pyrite. Now, pyrite, if we looked at the model that we've developed at Racecourse, that's the highest conductivity, but unfortunately, it doesn't contain copper. The chalcopyrite, as the pyrite diminishes, the chalcopyrite appears, the pyrrhotite appears, and the chalcopyrite appears. And then by the time you get into the guts of this feldspathic system, the quartz and the veining, your pyrite is very low. So you don't drill into the pyrite, you don't drill into the really hot IP, you drill in the side of it. And we think Anglo may have just missed, and we'll test that as well. So that might even bring another porphyry into play, if that's successful. So we cannot but test that. We test it geophysically, and if the geophysics signature is as it is now and better, then we have no choice, I don't think, but to bring it into the equation. But it's certainly not in my 20,000 meters. But a couple of test holes will be drilled. It's not in the requirement to get to the 2 million tons. That's Racecourse itself. But optionality has emerged. We've got quite a few other targets emerging from our geophysics as we are now. So I'm pretty optimistic for Racecourse in general, the possibility of other porphyries, and foot rotted all new porphyry, having meat on the bone.
On that note, Colin Bird, Executive Chairman at Xtract Resources, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Zach. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.